Alright, welcome back everyone. So, I've been getting into gunsmithing lately, and I've worked on guns my whole life, really, just little things here and there. But this is one of the first big projects I've done. I've made gun stocks and all that, but I'm actually going to be rebarreling this 22-250 Winchester Model 70, and it this gun actually belongs to my brother, and it was a graduation present from my parents to him, and he owned the gun. He never really got a lot of accuracy, very good accuracy out of it. So at one point he sent it off to a gunsmith, and it came back and it really wasn't any better. It was maybe a little bit better, but really for what he paid the guy really didn't gain him anything. So what he said the guy did was he bedded the rifle, he did a trigger job, and he recrowned it. So gun's unloaded. So the trigger, I felt it previously. I'm going to dry fire it. It's actually not that bad in my opinion. Let me grab my pull gauge. I don't know, I'm guessing it's around 3.5 to 4 pounds. But it doesn't really feel too bad to me, but we have a jewel trigger that I'm going to be putting in. So let me test it again here. Coming up on 3 pounds. 3 pounds, 3 ounces. I think that's pretty good for a hunting gun. But like I said, since we're going to go to this much trouble, he went ahead and bought a jewel trigger for it, which will be really nice. I'd be satisfied with that trigger if it was my gun, if it was just like a plinking, having fun gun. I'm not sure what the weight is on the jewel. But the trigger really isn't bad. I think the guy did all right on that. Now, the crown, I think that he just used a regular crowning tool with a pilot, and just looking at it, it doesn't look bad. I mean, he just touched up the bluing on it. The only thing I can really see is when he deburred on the edge, it looks like he just went to like a belt sander, and it's off a little bit. I mean, it's not that bad. Like, you wouldn't really notice it unless you look really close at it like I am. But so he recrowned it. I don't really think that was probably a necessary thing to do, but he did it. And then when it comes to the bedding, I haven't taken the action out of the stock yet and actually looked at the bedding itself, but this is probably the reason that it wasn't ever accurate, and I don't know how this guy let it go and being this far off. I don't know if y'all can see that, but the barrel is actually closer on one side than it is the other. There's a bigger gap here than it is here. And I took a index card, dollar bill, you can use whatever that's about that thickness, and it doesn't make it past about here. So that's probably where his entire accuracy problem was coming from. Looking at the muzzle too, I can also see that there is a little bit of green in there, which tells me there's some copper fouling. So honestly, I think that if we lap the barrel and we fix that, I think the gun might shoot decent. But we're gonna go all the way. We got a brand new Bartline cut rifled barrel right here, so had to wait a few months to get it, but I think they're pretty good barrels. So anyways, I'm going to take this apart next and see what the bedding on the inside actually looks like. And the only other thing that's a little bit strange, and I don't know if this guy messed with this or not, but the button that keeps the floor plate closed is actually like off. It's really kind of hard to tell, but it's just not really right. I'm going to see what I can do about that too. Alright, so I took the action and barrel and everything out of the gun and got to inspect everything. So as far as the trigger job goes, basically, this gunsmith said he did a trigger job, and all he really did was adjust this screw here. And I never did do a safety check on it to see if it was actually safe, but sometimes you got to watch playing with these factory triggers and adjusting them. A lot of times they put glue on them and stuff so that you can't adjust them. But you got to still, if you do play with this, this is a good option to do that doesn't really cost anything. But you just got to watch that it's still safe. So usually I take the stock and I tap it on the ground. I'll take the action with a mallet and hit it to make sure the vibration doesn't set the gun off. You really got to watch that. But that's pretty much the trigger job that my brother paid for, which honestly, for being a hunting gun, I probably would have done the same thing. There's nothing stoned on, nothing that I can see that the guy really did. Well, he definitely didn't do anything else. But really, though, the trigger to me wasn't that bad. At 3 pounds 3 ounces is a nice hunting trigger, and it was relatively crisp. So I'm not gonna knock the guy on that really. But as I said, we're gonna be putting a jewel trigger in it. And I never knew until now that the Winchester Model 70s had a integral recoil lug, so that's kind of nice. But the one thing that I did notice, now that I can see it all, looking at the finish of the receiver on the face of it, so a lot of people true up these actions to make sure that the squareness of the shoulder of the action is perpendicular to the bore of the action itself. And I think in normal cases, I don't know if I'd even mess with it, but on this one, I'm gonna probably do it because I can tell by the finish of it that was not machined in the same operation, at least I don't believe it was, as the rest of the action was made. And Ryan told me that the Winchester Model 70s are notorious for having actions that are way out of true. So I'm gonna do that, and then looking at the stock, so what the guy did is he bedded it, and he made some pillars first, unless they're factory pillars. I don't think they are. Well, he probably didn't make them. He probably bought them because they sell all that stuff. But he put some pillars in there, and then he also put the bedding compound all around. And really, it doesn't look like he did that bad of a job. If only he would have made sure that the barrel didn't touch on the end of the channel. So so we can see where exactly it's touching, I'm going to take and I'm going to use some unleading black, and I'm going to put it on the barrel. I'm going to see about where, and you can see in here too that all that area has been relieved up until this point. So I'm going to put some unleading black on the barrel. Just in that spot where I know it's touching somewhere. And then to really test it truly, I need to tighten the entire action down again, which isn't really a huge deal. I'm going to only hold pressure there and keep the pressure there so I know it's not a false reading. Then I'm not going to put the magazine box and all that in. I'm just going to put these two screws in here, because that'll tell me what I need to know. Okay. So something kind of interesting is that my brother's, he's 7 years older than I am, so he graduated high school first. And my parents bought him this rifle. Well, my parents did not want to buy me a gun because they said all I would do is take it apart. So I didn't get a gun for my graduation. Now, fast forward almost about 15-ish years later, I'm taking apart my brother's gun that he got for graduation. Okay, so you can see the place where the black is contacting. That is bad. That guy should have... I mean, it is possible, I guess, that the wood could have moved over time, but I don't think it's very likely. It is possible. I don't know where the gunsmith was located. That stuff does actually happen, though. At one time I was living in Washington State, and I went to Arizona, and then on my nice shotgun, it had nice, good Turkish walnut and all that, had the foreign release button started sticking when I was staying in Arizona. After about 3 or 4 days, it was hard to take my forend off, and Arizona is really dry weather. And then when I flew back up to Washington after about a week, it was perfectly fine again. So the wood can move some, but honestly, as far off as it was, I don't think that's the case. I think the guy did a bedding job, and then he just either didn't notice that, or didn't look for it, or was in a rush. I don't know. But that's bad, and I think that's probably what was causing most of his accuracy issues. But we're going to eliminate everything on this whole job. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the components of the action out, and I'm going to have to, it might be another day by the time I get to it or so, but I'm going to have to make an action wrench, and I'm going to have to make some barrel vise inserts. This is a featherweight contour barrel. And so it's going to take me a little bit of time to do that, but then I'll unscrew the barrel, and I'll face the action off, thread and chamber the barrel, and crown it, and then we'll go from there. Then eventually I'm going to end up having to blue the barrel and fix the bedding job. So that's all for now. It'll take me a little bit to get all these other tools made, but I'll post another video, and that'll be part 2. Thanks for watching.